Good afternoon. I know I'm up against the LSU baseball game, and I'm not an LSU coach, so I appreciate everybody being here. So I want to, I know in the title it was a focus on our big win for our program in fuel, which is the National Science Foundation. But I want to build a bigger picture for you before I get to that, and talk about what you see here on the screen, which is a photo of a poster that we had at LSU Capitol Day, and basically it is "We build teams that win." And I want to start with three quotes. One that deals with team dynamics, one that deals with establishing goals, and one that deals with research, which are the three things I want to combine here today. The first one on team dynamics is a Vince Lombardi quote, which I love. It says, "Teams do not go physically flat. They go mentally stale," which is a great quote. And then, of course, that for ambition and goals and where you want to go, I got a call on Yogi Berra. If you don't know where you are going, you'll end up someplace else. So you got to know where you're going. And then for research, I had to pull a quote out of Albert Einstein. It said, "If we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it?" It's a great quote. Or I'll have you think about this one a little bit from Will Harvey. "What is research but a blind date with knowledge?" And I'll let you sit on that one for a little bit. All right, so let me take you through sort of where we are at LSU on a large perspective related to research. And right off the bat, I want to recognize President Tate and what he has done since his work here and his building a vision for us called the Scholarship First Agenda. And this agenda has 5 major areas of focus. We call them the Pentagon research areas. And what you'll notice if you go from agriculture to biomed to coast to defense and to energy, that these are all industries and they're all issues that I know touch probably just about everyone in this room. And in fact, we have this term we've started a phrase related to our research program, and it's called indigenous research. It's research that's going to solve the problems of the state of Louisiana, because they are existential problems that are really critical to our state. And we are a public research university, and we have to keep that in mind. It is something we owe the citizens of this state. But it's also what's important related to these topics that you see is while we solve these problems here in Louisiana, we are the test bed for other regions around the world. We will export our technology as we talk about the coast particularly, and this becomes, I think, very significant to us building our reputation. But I also want you to remember that in each of those pentagons is just not science and technology, engineering and mathematics. There are people in those pentagons, is what I like to say. And what I mean there is that solving a lot of these problems is not just developing the new technology, but it's policy, it's law, it's economics, it's social and behavioral sciences. Energy, for example, it's not just the new technology and the future use of energy in Louisiana, it's how communities are actually going to acknowledge the value of those new technologies and how to push those forward. So with this framework, which is our focus, we know where we're going, Yogi. This is where we're going, is these mission-oriented research objectives. Now, our ambition is in this slide, which is our strategic framework. And what I want you to notice, not only is research and discovery one of the key factors, but at the very top is national prominence, gaining national prominence. So we're not only focused on relevance, what we want to do that's relevant to you as a public research university, but we also want to be acknowledged in excellence related to our peers. And in this framework, we highlighted 3 particular areas of achievement with the Board of Supervisors. One is a unified statewide entity. When you say LSU, it is a statewide entity. It's from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, from New Orleans to Alexandria, Alexandria to Shreveport, Shreveport to Eunice. It is LSU as a statewide entity. We also want to advance research aligned with the state's needs. You just saw that. That's the reason for the Pentagon priorities. They are things I know that will resonate with each of you in this room. And national prominence is our ultimate goal, and this is, again, with a focus on excellence. Now, how do we identify excellence? Our excellence, what we're doing here is we have established a goal of being nominated into the AAU. Now, this is not the Amateur Athletic Association. This is the Association of American Universities. And what I've put in the red boxes on these school logos is those schools that are in the Southeast Conference, that are in the AAU. And if you read these lines there, it says, the AAU are leading edge of innovative scholarship and solutions that contribute to scientific progress, economic development, security, and well-being. That's where we want to be. We want to be in this group. Now, to get into AAU, it's not just a set of standards by which once you hit those standards, then you're automatically included in the club. You have to be nominated. You have to convince all 69 members of the association that you belong in their club. And there's a set of standards there that I want to share with you so you can understand, again, Yogi, where we're going, where the place we want to be in the future. One of those is competitively funded federal research support. Now, there's a reason why federal is outlined there. Not total amount of research expenditures, but the federal component, because that's what is competitive. Now, what I've done here is I've got these bar graphs that show you what our research expenditures have been as reported to the National Science Foundation. Just a little quick background here. Every university in the U.S. in March or April of each year fills out a form, submits it to the National Science Foundation. It says this is how much we spent on research in the last year. We spent about $384 million during FY23. That is an increase and that's a record. That's a brand new record for LSU. Now, in this case, when I say LSU, I'm talking about the 3 campuses that are in Baton Rouge. What we do is we combine LSU A&M, the Ag Center, and Pennington. And we add those 3 numbers together. That's the number that you see, of $384 million, which was a 12% increase above last year. And the year before that, we were about 10% the year before FY21. So in the last 2 years, we've actually gone above our 10% record in research expenditures, and which has been a great growth for LSU over the last 2 years. Now, if you add the medical schools, we broke another record. We broke a record of $488 million. Now we're getting close to that $500 million mark, which is a real important index. And this is because we add the 2 medical schools. We had the medical school in New Orleans and the medical school in Shreveport. They each had about a 20% increase in research expenditures last year. And so the reason I'm showing you these is, again, because this is what the AAU wants to see. They want to see a competitive program. And that competition is based on how much research expenditures you actually generate relative to the growth and the scale of your research program. Now, what I've done here is there's a blue line that is known as our peer group. These are mainly land-grant colleges. And you can see that in 2010, with that circle that I've drawn, we were right at our 16-member peer groups in research expenditures. But that peer group went up over the last 10 years. We stayed pretty flat. Start de-investing in higher education, your curves go flat. And so everyone else started increasing, and we're trying to catch up, and that's why we're pushing real hard to stay above this 10% per year, so that we, over time, can catch up with our peer group related to, again, showing AAU the caliber of our research program. But it's not just about money. bringing in dollars or spending dollars is not the only index of a competitive or excellence in a university. Faculty awards, fellowships, memberships, highly prestigious awards, this is what the AAU wants to see. National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine. We have 4 members active in the National Academy, and we're pushing really hard among our faculty of recognizing more members and getting our memberships up in these very prestigious societies. The American Academy of Arts and Sciences, we have 4 members presently. Our president just was one of the more recent new members in the American Academy. This is another standard for AAU. Last year we had 4 new members in the American Association for Advancement of Science. And one item that you may not know about at LSU is that while we may rank 84th in research expenditures in the nation, we actually rank 75th in utility patents. We do a superb job of getting our knowledge and our research into actually commercial products, and just here's a few of the people that we've recognized in the National Academy of Inventors and faculty. And again, it's not, in those honorific awards, the other aspect of being recognized is citations and books, particularly for our arts and humanities. What's the citation index? It's the number of followers on your Facebook. That's sort of what a citation is. If I publish a paper and then someone else cites my paper and their publication, then they've liked my tweet, and so it goes into their and these add up, and you get recognition based on the number of citations. There are other indicators, USDA, doctoral students, and the number of postdocs. All of these are ambitions that we have related to our excellence. What does this mean to you? What's the take-home point of us achieving these kinds of goals relative to LSU? It's because it is well known that premier public research universities attract first-rate students. You get the best students when you have a well-acknowledged and recognized research program. That's where they want to go. And students now want an experience at the undergraduate level in that research program. They're drawn to the intellectual vitality. They're drawn to the institutional commitment to quality across the campus. Now, that is a tremendous asset to us because that gives us talent to do our research. It's a tremendous asset to you because that talent that we're attracting to LSU is your workforce. That's who you then come to us, and you recruit those students, and then you're getting the best talent in business and industries in Louisiana. That's the agreement that we need to have between what we're doing in building excellence and relevance in our research program and the payoff that it has to you and the business community. Talent is what is exactly we're striving to achieve, both as faculty, as students, as staff, and to build our enterprise. Now, I want to take one step back a little bit and talk about this conflict of being relevant, some of which you may have read in the newspapers lately. And that is that we are relevant, and we're fully committed to relevance, and that depends on us growing our public and private partnerships. Without relevance, this is a key point, without relevance, universities become insular. In fact, this is a front cover on the issue in September in the Chronicle of Higher Education, where they put a university building in a bubble. If you're not relevant, then you become fixed in a bubble. But relevance can also breed the suspicion of compromise. And that was the nature of what we've been hearing and reading lately in the newspapers. That because universities are fierce about us building partnerships with the people that are going to need the information that we're generating, then that compromises our research outcomes and our research results. So we have to fiercely protect their role and value as an honest research broker. And there are ways that we do that. We do that because we thrive on trust. We cherish the value proposition to society, that you trust us. And you trust that what we're going to generate is the truth and the best to our ability defined by the science methodologies that we use. And we achieve that. We spend a lot of time. I have a whole office in the Office of Research and Economic Development just dedicated to research compliance, integrity, and security. We have guidelines on research ethics, research misconduct. We have guidelines on integrity. And one of the most critical parts of the research program is what we call peer review. We send our results to our colleagues. They review it. They decide whether or not it meets the quality that then establishes acceptance in a professional journal. And that's what we strive to achieve, because you will not get an honorific award. You won't be recognized by your societies and by your peers unless you, as an individual researcher, have the highest quality and standards relative to the way you approach your research. That means that relevance doesn't mean we're going to compromise that process. And that's the value proposition that we have. And again, what you get not only in our talent that we generate, but then you get the trust factor that we've generated by sticking to those standards of research. So let me talk real quick. I think I clicked this, yep. Let me talk about our fuel project. This is, of course, fits in our energy pentagon. It's future use of energy in Louisiana. It's the largest award ever given by the National Science Foundation, $160 million over 10 years. It's a new program in NSF. It's called Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships. And to a large degree, NSF developed this program so that they could go to Congress and say we're relevant. The idea of this program is actually to build economic development out of research, not just research. They want to see commercialization, they want to see talent development, workforce development, and they want to see research as well around a problem that is critical to build the economics in regions around the U.S. We started out, see if I can get it to the next slide. We started out with, NSF had 701 letters of intent. That was through a peer review process, whittled down to 30-some finalists, whittled again through a process of site reviews down to 10 winners, 10 awards. And again, we were one of 10 out of original starting of 700 applications. It was competitive. And that's what establishes us as a research university. And that's, again, why federal funding is so important, because it is indicative of the competitive process. Now, I also want to add LED, Louisiana Economic Development, stepped up. And they've added $67.5 million over the 10-year period, which is basically dedicated to faculty development. Again, to bring in talent in our faculty ranks to then drive this commitment relative to research and development, workforce development, and commercialization. And you'll see the sweet spot in fuel. Really, what this funding represents is almost the glue. It's not really going to pay for, $160 million even over 10 years. It's not going to pay for big workforce development programs or pay for huge commercialization. But what that funding and the way we're going to use it is it's actually the glue that of bringing groups together that can actually those monies be value added to their existing programs. Why Louisiana? Why are we so successful? And this is something that we're building upon. If we're that competitive for this NSF project, what was it about our program that allowed us to outcompete these other universities around the nation? It's our geography, it's our location, it's our zip code. This is an image by Department of Energy of what is the projected pipeline capacity over the next decade. And you see, again, the sweet spot right there in Louisiana. This is our geology. Our capacity to store CO2 in Louisiana is one of the highest in the nation. So we have a geology for carbon capture and storage. We have pipelines, that existing infrastructure. We have the Mississippi River between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Along the Mississippi River, we have some of the highest CO2 emissions. And so all of this is a convergence of our location, driven largely by our location along the Mississippi River. Water is a key resource for a lot of the industries that are supported along this corridor. And thus, we are the place where industry has converged, where industry is located, where these innovations are going to have the most impact. And LSU is sitting right on the edge of this geography as a public research university to provide those resources. So it was a combination of you, the industries, the businesses, the commercialization capacity, and us as a research university. We won. We need to win again. This is the beginning, and I think this is something that, again, it goes back to Lombardi's quote, we are getting really stimulated in our thinking of where we want to be and where we want to go in our research endeavors. And we're building partnerships. It's not just LSU. One of the great things about this is the partnerships that we have with the universities, how all of us will do this together. And again, I think that's the real tribute. Again, we had 65 different partnerships. We had, I think, 80 people walking through a one-day series of meetings with the site visit that came down from National Science Foundation here to Baton Rouge. And they were just blown away by how deep our connections are with the business community and the industries that we work with. That's our signature, and that's what defines us. We're just not only winning in this NSF project. We have a huge project, Hydrogen to the Future, which is funded by EDA. This is a joint effort with GNO Inc. This is a huge project that is funding research on brand new technologies in electrolysis and carbon capture. We have a system on campus where we can actually simulate at a scale what carbon capture facilities would look like. And we have a tech hub. We were able to get at least a designation from EDA for a tech hub. This is to help develop wind, offshore wind turbine, working at Port Fourchon to build this technology. So these are big wins. In fact, we're one of the few universities in the nation that have both an NSF engines project with and also an EDA tech hub. We will hear the final selection on tech hub sometime this summer. Now, I'm going to end up, and I was inspired when Coach Kelly participated in releasing the bald eagle and demonstrating his conservation inspired research. And I figured, okay, well, what page can I take out of athletics? And the answer is a hype video. And here it is. Do I get one more? All right. We're winning in research. We're glad to take any questions.
With this program, have you seen a decline in the exodus of college students to other colleges? Or I assume that's part of this as well.
That's right, exactly right. And the question was, do we see college students decline in exiting out of the state? And we have one of the we really increased, and this is an enrollment issue, probably a little bit outside of my specialty, but I really enjoy hearing President Tate talk about this. We're about a 30% enrollment from out-of-state students. About 70% are from Louisiana. Most of the Louisiana, it's a really high percent, somebody may know is 90% of the Louisiana students work in Louisiana. But I think what's really critical in building talent and building through commercialization new opportunities is keeping those out-of-state students here as well. Again, you know, our whole focus of relevance and excellence is that, you know, we build talent, and what's really critical is to have an opportunity for that talent to stay here. That's the real key. That's the key. That's the symbiosis that we've got to build, is that as we build talent, the capital region in Louisiana builds opportunity, and we capture that talent here. And that's what I'm seeing that, because again, it's just this enthusiasm of we build teams that win. People want to be a part of that. Yeah.
I'm a business owner, engineer, PhD engineer. One problem we have, talking about the workforce development, is that when I want a graduate level engineer, I cannot find an American that doesn't have to be sponsored and go through the H-1 process and the lottery, where I may not get to keep them. I've lost them before because they didn't get picked. What I would like to see happen is I want to see y'all recruit undergraduate Americans into the graduate engineering and science programs, so that businesses and these type of opportunities, so we have the workforce that we need.
Yeah.
Because it's not there right now.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And in fact, one of the aspects, going back to the NSF project, I did not go through all the different universities, but we have a connection with the community college system. We also, in this project, linked up with programs that are in our high schools, because you know, to really attract engineering skill sets, you got to go down to 8th grade. I mean, that's where you really need to work and start recruiting. And so, you know, we have a very aggressive enrollment program that's identifying students. And in fact, you know, there's even was conversations during our proposal that, you know, it's 3rd grade where you really got to have those skills that are so important related to, you know, getting people that can go into the programs like engineering. But we definitely in our program know that we have to be in the high schools, and that's where we have to start relative to getting students knowledgeable and understanding about what the skill sets are required, what's required of them to make it in the universities for these engineering degrees. And so it's part of the program we have with our education associates that are with this NSF project. But it's a really good point, one we talk about quite a bit, actually. Yes?
Hi, when you talk about your partnerships with education, are you partnered currently with the existing EBR school system?
Yeah,
I'm a current board member. So,
okay, yeah.
And that's why
Well, you know, the charters that we have, the participants that we have, of course, we have the community college system that is a part of the program. You know, through that, we actually are going to open up grants. One of the things we did was we didn't want this to be prescriptive at the beginning, so that we didn't have all the answers. What we're actually doing is putting pools of funding in our workforce development, and then we're asking schools to actually come to us with their funding, with their creative ideas, with the innovations. And so you'll actually see an RFP coming out of us that will actually, you bring your ideas to us instead of us at the beginning saying we already know everything that needs to be done. We want to hear from you. So if you'll make sure you have my contact, then, because these, and I'll give you the timeline on this. You know, this is we're just setting up the grant with NSF right now. We're in a hiring phase to get our staff hired that will run the programs, and we're hoping to have, actually NSF wants to have our RFP programs out by this fall. So it's a tight timeline that we're working on to get money out relative to supporting some of these new programs. Oh, I'm sorry.
In regard to the engineering, the College of Engineering has seen a tremendous growth in the last 10 years. A, what do you attribute that to are you starting to see the STEM education and more women in your engineering departments?
Where's my engineering dean? So I think I can address the engineering. Certainly, we have one of the best engineering undergraduate programs, and I think that, you know, again, what I hear from students is, you know, they want to make a difference and they want to solve problems. And I think engineering certainly has done a very good job of here is an opportunity for you to solve a problem, whether it's related to water in the coast or whether it's related to transportation, whether it's related to energy. Then, you know, our College of Engineering is a place. College of Engineering has fabulous facilities. It's one of the best facilities on campus. And I haven't mentioned that, but we're no different than an athletic team. You want to recruit talent, you got to have facilities. You know, and you've got to, and you can see that when a student goes visit Patrick Taylor Hall. That is one of the best facilities, right, of any engineering school. And so I think, and having a focus on what problems you want to solve and having the facilities, you know, that are, you know, give you that exceptional experience as an undergraduate. I think that combination is why we're attracting some of the best students and the numbers in our engineering program. And yes, we are seeing this effects of STEM, you know, effects as far as the quality of the students. And of course, and that's another big factor at LSU is the increase in the quality of students over the last couple of years. Anything else? I will say I was in a meeting with the athletics department, and one of the comments, one of our goals is in our research program is that I want to be in the top 50, and they all looked at me pretty strangely, like if they could be in the top 50 and keep their job, anyway. So.
So my question is this: for that talent that leaves, or people who are alumni and are in other places, what do we do to get them to move their companies back, or what do we do to at least get them to send their dollars back to our university?
You know, I'm going to tell you, if you want to know, if you want to ask me one reason why we sat, and Greg was the architect on this to a large degree, if you had to ask us what was our biggest motivation for putting that proposal together, and because it focused on commercialization and small business, is because we wanted to stop our intellectual property going to Houston. Think about it. You know, we have the industry here, but our intellectual property ends up in Houston or even in Dallas. But it is, and UT Austin. You know, we have the industry here. Why don't we keep the commercialization and intellectual property here? And that is one of the most important, I think, aspects to a university in our partnership, is that, you know, we have those opportunities and we build that capacity right here in our economic ecosystem here in the capital region. But you've just nailed our biggest motivation in putting this proposal together. Well, thank you again, and go Tigers. Did it win football game?